Jesse Anderson Manley, whose birth date is unknown, had 5 children. The youngest of them is my great-grandfather, Ruffin A. Manley, born in 1892. Here to speak and introduce their family heritage are his grandchildren. My name is Quentin Ellis, and I'm here with my mother, Angela Ellis, and my cousin, Gloria Parker. And we're doing an interview today of their land and where they grew up in Windsor, Virginia. A farmer, tired and fed up with the unjust practices of sharecropping, Ruffin Manley packed up his family of 7 and moved to Windsor, Virginia. Is this a road or is it a highway or?
A rural route it was as we were growing up, and in later years they did give it street names. Gloria and I were the 3rd generation to live on this land. My grandfather came here and bought over 60-some acres of land, and 3 of his 6 children, when they got married, got homes on the land as well. And Gloria's is the first one here.
The land we're standing on was my father's land, Jesse A. Manley, and it was all wood. Trees were all on this. When he got the land, he had to have the trees taken down, and he built a 4-room house on the land and raised 6 children here in this 4-room house. And the house never had plumbing.
Ruffin Manley was my great-grandfather.
Yes.
And was you all's grandfather.
Right.
And he bought the whole land
Yes.
as a farm.
Yes.
And then when your parents got older, he distributed small sections of the land to
As
each
wedding
one
gifts.
as wedding gifts.
That's right.
Okay.
1 acre apiece.
The grandfather's house, Ruffin Manley's, all the way down the path.
At the end
Yes,
of the lane.
all the way down there.
Okay, so starting with the first house built from Ruffin and Beulah's children, Gloria's father, Jesse Manley's home began. So now this house was built, do you have any estimation of the year?
Well, I was born in 1949, and I lived up there with my parents because Aunt Beulah May remembers my birthday because I was staying up there in the grandparents' house before this house was built. So I'm probably gonna say it might have been around 1950.
Your Aunt Beulah May is her mother and my grandmother.
That's right, that's right.
Now, when your parents were busy, did she babysit you at all, or was it just a lot of family
I
around?
don't remember that she babysat because my mother never worked. She
Okay.
was a homemaker, stayed at home. My father initially was a farmer. He farmed for many years. Other land that was rented, he rented, and then he farmed here on Granddaddy's land as well. And I remember chopping peanuts on the farm
Yeah.
when I got older.
Oh.
Initially, it was Route 1, Box 57. In later years, the address was changed and the street was given a name. So it became 28194 Parsons Drive. We had a wood heater in here and a wood stove in the house, and that was our heating and the way my mother cooked our meals. And we always had that in this house.
I have a few questions for you. The 6 children, are you the oldest or in the middle?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest.
The oldest of 6, 4 girls and 2 boys.
And when you were born here in Windsor, your grandfather already moved.
Yes, they had moved from North Carolina, and I believe they lived in Hertford County in North Carolina.
Can you tell us about any thing that you remember about segregation in the school before segregation and after?
Yes, my most vivid memory of segregation prior to my going into the 11th grade, and it was all black children at my school. But when I chose to go to the white school when integration became available here, I went to the predominantly white school. I was at my previous school, Georgia Tala, from 1st to 10th grade, and then I moved to the predominantly white school for the 11th grade and the 12th grade. And when my sister Lola and I decided we'd go to the predominantly white school, a cross was burned at our driveway out here. My uncle came home. We were in the house sleeping and didn't even know it was going on. And my uncle came home that lived across the way there, came and told my father about it. So that is my most vivid memory. I will never forget that, I don't think.
And they would burn the cross for you guys not to integrate and go to the white school.
That's right. That's
because they wanted segregation.
Right. There was a lot of mention of Ku Klux Klan, and they were thinking that it was done by Ku Klux Klan. I remember my father calling the sheriff to come out here, but there was nothing he could do.
Okay. All right. And Cousin Gloria, since you were in the military, can you tell me about some of the accomplishments that you have done in the military and some stories that you remember?
I achieved the rank of E7. I was a sergeant first class, and I achieved that in a relatively short period of time. I really did not want to get any higher, I guess, so I just stayed away from that. But my tours of duty, I served 2 tours at a very distinguished place called the Armed Forces Staff College, and this is a college where officers went to school. I served there for 3 years, and then I went to Germany, and I had 2 tours in Germany. When I initially went in, the Army for the females was the Women's Army Corps. We wore our cord uniforms. They were made out of cord type material, and we had different hat than what we were now. They were now in the military. It was a little green hat with a symbol on it for the Women's Army Corps. And I remember when I initially went in, I was put on, this was supposed to be distinguished, I was put on flag duty, where you got to fold the flag. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have pictures of me in my uniform.
How many years after did they continue the WAC?
I was one of the last classes that went through as the Women's Army Corps.
And then after that, they just had boot camp for men and women
Yes,
in the same
yes.
places. And they dressed sort of more similar after that, rather than having their own.
Exactly. That's
symbols and
right.
things.
That's right. I was stationed at Fort Story prior to that, and I wanted to get even closer, so I actually had to go to the staff college and interview to be selected to come and work there, because it wasn't just a regular assignment. It was considered choice. So.
And what state was the college one that you went to?
Armed Forces Staff College. It's in Norfolk on Hampton Boulevard. It's now called the Joint Forces Staff College, but it was Armed Forces. All 4 branches of the service have officers that come there. It's kind of like, I guess, the War College. Yeah, they changed the name.
Halfway up the lane, leading all the way back to where the home place is, my grandparents' home. Our house is 1 acre off the left side of the path. As we walk around here, you'll soon be able to see some of the leftovers. We had donated this house to the fire department and let them burn it down for part of their training session. Years after we moved to Pennsylvania. We had moved to Pennsylvania in 1974, and we had this burnt down after the year 2000.
We're standing in front of where your house stood, and this was your parents' portion of the land that your mother's father gave to her and her.
Well, yes, my grandfather gave them this acre of land. midway up the lane from the road to the old home place. And my parents were Raymond Chambers and Beulah Manley Chambers. My mother was the youngest of the 6 children of Beulah and Ruffin Manley.
You are the oldest of Beulah's children. Now that we have your house and a little bit of history of that, we'll try to walk up to the path a little bit, because I know the path covers the whole land, correct?
Yes.
And oftentimes you all would run the path to go to your grandparents' house, which was the first house on this property.
We were right here by the path, in the middle here. The path curves, so I walked from here down around the curve all the way up to the road between the 2 houses. That was my trip to school every day, to catch the bus, no matter what kind of weather. At that time, both my parents were working, so we had to get up. They woke me up, being the oldest, before they left for work at 6 in the morning. I would get up, get washed up and dressed, go in the kitchen and make breakfast for my sister and brothers, and get each one of them up to take their turns in the bathroom. While they were doing that, I would make their breakfast, I'd make their lunch. If there was laundry to be hung on the line, we too had a clothesline in the backyard, and there was no arguing, you did your chores.
Now, you mentioned you walked this path for school. A big topic then, like we talked about Cousin Gloria, was segregation.
I went to the same school as Gloria, Georgia Tower School, and that was the all-black school at the time. When I was in 3rd grade, it became freedom of choice, so that was the beginning of integration. You had a choice whether you would go to what had been the all-white school or what had been the all-black school, and they were then divided by grades. So my parents decided that their children would go to what had been the all-white school. From the grades 3 through 7, I was the only black child in my class. And when I was in grade 8, that year is the year it was mandatory total integration for this area. Different areas changed at different times according to their states. But in 8th grade, it was total integration, and I was able to be back with my black friends again. Mind you, for those years 3 through 7, they were some of the hardest years of my life, because my black friends considered me acting white by going to the white school. The white people didn't want us there, so we were still black to them. So you just kind of didn't fit in anywhere and had to make your own way.
Now, what you saying, some of the schools integrated at different times. After the rule was passed with the Brown versus Board of Education and other cases that the NAACP led, they didn't all immediately change over to integrated schools?
No, laws were different per state. So, and even I believe in some states it was different by counties. And when we became totally integrated here, white people who just refused to integrate built academies so their kids could still go to an all-white school. It was private academies. The funny thing is, my school bus driver drove 4 integrated schools, but would not send her child to an integrated school. Her child went to an academy.
Now we're standing in front of where?
This was the house that my grandparents built. It's a 2-story white farmhouse, no indoor plumbing at that time. And this would have been built back around the year 1940. That was around the time that my grandfather bought this land and moved here. Right in the back here where you see the gate, that's the Manley Family Cemetery. My grandfather was the first one buried there. My grandmother is there, and 2 of my first cousins.
I just want to thank my great-grandparents, Ruffin and Beulah Manley, for establishing such a great and strong independent foundation that still holds and instills their legacy into us today.